The great hall of the Galactic Council Station was silent. Representatives from 40 different species sat in their assigned seats, their eyes fixed on the tall figure standing at the center platform. High Arbiter Thurl of the Velari Dominion held a glowing scroll in his three-fingered hands. His gray skin reflected the lights above him, and his four eyes scanned the room with obvious pride. "For 3,000 years, Thurl began, his voice echoing through the chamber, we have tolerated the presence of humanity in this galaxy. We watched them crawl out of their small blue planet. We watched them spread to nearby stars like insects. We said nothing when they touched technologies they did not deserve. We stayed quiet when they spoke to us as equals, though they are merely children compared to our ancient civilization." Ambassador Li Jisu sat in the human section, her hands folded calmly on her lap. She was a small woman with short black hair and sharp eyes. Next to her, Captain Kim Yuna was already taking notes on her tablet, her face showing no emotion. Thurl raised the scroll higher. "But our patience has ended. Humanity has pushed too far. They have expanded into territories that belong to elder species. They have polluted other cultures with their crude ideas. They have shown no respect for those who came before them." He paused for effect, looking directly at Ambassador Li. "The Velari Dominion hereby declares war on the human species. We will teach them their proper place in this galaxy. We will remind them that they are young, weak, and alone." The chamber erupted in whispers. Some species looked frightened. Others seemed excited. A few looked at the human delegation with something like pity. The council moderator, a being made of floating crystals, spoke in a musical voice. "Ambassador Li, does humanity wish to respond to this declaration?" Li Jisu stood up slowly. She straightened her uniform and walked to the center platform. Every eye in the room followed her. She was so much smaller than Thurl, barely reaching his chest. But she did not look afraid. "The United Earth Government acknowledges the Velari Dominion's declaration of war," she said. Her voice was calm and clear. "We will prepare accordingly." That was all? She turned and walked back to her seat. Thurl's four eyes blinked in confusion. He had expected fear. He had expected begging. He had expected humans to ask for mercy or more time. This simple acceptance was not what he planned for. "You do not wish to negotiate?" he asked. Li Jisu looked at him over her shoulder. "There's nothing to negotiate. You have made your decision. We have made ours." She sat down next to Captain Yuna, who was hiding a small smile. The council session ended shortly after. As representatives filed out of the hall, many stopped to offer condolences to the human delegation. The Velari had 8,000 warships. They had ruled 40 star systems for over 1,000,000 years. Humanity had existed in space for only 5,000 years. Everyone knew how this war would end, or so they thought. On the shuttle back to their ship, Ambassador Li finally let out a long breath. "They actually did it," she said. "I thought they would wait another century at least." Captain Yuna pulled up files on her tablet. "Intelligence predicted this year. The Velari economy is failing. Their population is declining. They need a victory to unite their people. And they chose us as their target. They think we are easy prey." Li Jisu smiled. It was not a kind smile. "Then they will learn." 3 hours later, they arrived at the Eternal Soul, the flagship of Earth's diplomatic fleet. Admiral Park Do-yeon was waiting for them in the command center. He was a tall man with gray hair and a scar across his left cheek. He had served in the military for 40 years, and he had been waiting for this moment for most of them. "I watched the broadcast," he said as they entered. "You handled it well?" "I wanted to laugh in his face," Li Jisu admitted. "But that would not be diplomatic. Save the laughter for later. We will have plenty of reasons for it." Admiral Park turned to the main screen and brought up a map of the galaxy. Human territory was marked in blue. Velari territory was marked in red. The red area was 4 times larger than the blue. "They have 8,000 warships," Captain Yuna reported. "We have 2,000 in active service." "In active service," Admiral Park repeated. He typed a command into the console. Show hidden assets. The map changed. Suddenly, thousands of new markers appeared throughout human space. Defense platforms around planets. Weapons hidden inside asteroids. Ships stored in secret facilities. The blue area did not grow, but it became dense with military power. Captain Yuna stared at the screen. She knew about humanity's secret preparations, but seeing it displayed like this was something else entirely. How long have we been building this? She asked. Since first contact, Admiral Park answered. 3,000 years ago, when we met the Valari, we saw how they looked at us. We saw the contempt in their eyes. We knew that one day they would try to destroy us. So we prepared? He zoomed in on a section of space near Earth's solar system. Project Prometheus. Project Iron Wall, Project Thunderbolt. Dozens of programs all running in secret. We let the galaxy think we were young and foolish. We let them believe we spent our time on art and music and silly human things. While we were actually building the largest military force in galactic history. Lee Jisoo finished, exactly. Admiral Park opened a communication channel. His face appeared on screens across every human world, every ship, every station. Billions of people stopped what they were doing to listen. Citizens of Earth and her colonies, he began. 1 hour ago, the Valari Dominion declared war on humanity. They believe we are weak. They believe we will fall easily. They are wrong. He paused to let his words sink in. For 3,000 years, we have prepared for this day. Every generation has done its part. Every scientist, every soldier, every worker has contributed to our defense. The Valari see our 2,000 ships and think they have already won. They do not see what lies beneath. His eyes hardened. We did not start this war, but we will finish it. And when it is over, the galaxy will never underestimate humanity again. He ended the broadcast and turned to his officers. Send a message to Earth Command, he ordered. Tell them to wake up the sleepers. Captain Yuna felt a chill run down her spine. The sleepers were humanity's final defense-massive AI-controlled platforms hidden throughout human space, each one capable of destroying entire fleets. They had been dormant for centuries, waiting for this exact moment. The war had begun. And humanity was ready. In his chamber on the Valari homeworld, High Arbiter Thurl celebrated with his generals. They drank ancient wines and made toasts to their coming victory. They laughed at the tiny human ambassador and her simple words. They did not know that across the galaxy, humans were laughing too, but humanity's laughter meant something very different. Deep beneath the surface of Earth's moon, the Takeo military complex came alive for the first time in 200 years. Lights flickered on in tunnels that stretched for hundreds of kilometers. Machines that had been sleeping began to hum with power. Computer systems activated and started running checks on equipment that most humans had forgotten existed. General Choi Minji stood in the main control room, watching the activation process on dozens of screens. She was a woman in her 60s with iron-gray hair pulled back in a tight bun. Her uniform was covered in medals from conflicts that the public had never heard about. She had fought in the border skirmishes of 4,890 when Valari pirates had tested human defenses. She had known then that a real war was coming. Power levels at 60% and climbing, reported a technician. All sleeper units responding to activation codes. Good, Minji said. How long until full operational status? 48 hours for the lunar installations. 72 hours for the outer system platforms. Minji nodded. That was faster than she had expected. Her people had maintained these systems well on the screen. She watched as massive structures began to rise from craters across the moon's surface. They looked like flowers blooming. Except these flowers were weapons platforms capable of destroying anything within 1,000,000 kilometers. Each one had been built in secret, hidden from alien sensors by technology that the Valari could not even imagine. General, called another officer. Incoming transmission from Mars. Dr. Beak wants to speak with you. Minji walked to the communication station and accepted the call. The face of Dr. Beak Sunho appeared on the screen. He was a thin man with messy hair and glasses that he was always pushing up his nose. He looked like a university professor, but he was actually the most dangerous scientist in human history. "General Choi," he said with a nervous smile, "I wanted to give you an update on Project Prometheus." "Go ahead, Doctor." "We have finished the final tests on the new weapon systems. The results are, well, they are better than we hoped." He pushed his glasses up. "The Velari use plasma-based shields. Our new missiles use a frequency that passes through plasma like it is not even there. In simulations, one of our destroyers can defeat 5 of their battleships." Manji allowed herself a small smile. "And the fold space engines?" "Lieutenant Han Yunji is testing the prototype right now. If it works, our ships will be able to travel anywhere in the galaxy in seconds. The Velari use jump drives that take hours to charge. They will never be able to catch us or run from us." "Excellent work, Doctor. Keep me informed." She ended the call and turned back to the activation displays. Across human space, similar scenes were happening. Secret facilities were opening. Hidden fleets were launching. Weapons that had been built over centuries were finally being prepared for use. Meanwhile, on Mars, Lieutenant Hanu was strapping herself into the cockpit of the Thunderbolt. It was a small ship, no bigger than a shuttle, but it contained technology that could change the galaxy forever. "Control, this is Thunderbolt," she said into her communicator. "Ready for fold space test number 7? "Copy, Thunderbolt. You are cleared for activation. Target coordinates are Neptune orbit." "Good luck, Lieutenant." Yunji took a deep breath. The previous 6 tests had all failed. 2 pilots had died. But each failure had taught them something new. She believed in the science. She believed in her team. And she believed in herself. "Activating fold space drive in 3.2.1. She pressed the button. The universe twisted around her. Colors that she had no names for flashed across her vision. She felt like she was being stretched and compressed at the same time. It lasted for less than a second. Then she was floating in space, looking at the blue giant of Neptune filling her window. "Control, this is Thunderbolt," she said, her voice shaking with excitement. "I am at Neptune. Fold space drive successful. Travel time was 0.3 seconds. The response took a moment because even radio signals needed time to travel from Mars to Neptune. When it came, she could hear cheering in the background. "Excellent work, Lieutenant. Return to Mars for debriefing. You just made history." Yunji laughed and activated the drive again. Another twist of reality, and she was back at Mars. The journey that would take a normal ship 2 days had taken her less than a second each way, back on Earth. Counselor Yu Jinyuk addressed the United Nations Assembly. The Great Hall was filled with representatives from every nation on Earth and every human colony in the galaxy. They had gathered to hear the official war plan. 3,000 years ago, Jinyuk began, humanity made first contact with alien life. It should have been a moment of joy. Instead, it was a moment of warning. He displayed an image of that first meeting. Human diplomats smiling with hope. Velari diplomats looking down at them with obvious disgust. The Velari saw us as insects. They told us that we were young and stupid. They said we should be grateful that they allowed us to exist. Our ancestors smiled and nodded and said thank you. But they also started planning. He changed the display to show a timeline of human development. Every generation since then has added to our preparations. We studied every alien species we encountered. We learned their languages, their cultures, their technologies. We took their best ideas and improved them. We invented things they never imagined. And we did it all in secret. The display showed human space, now filled with the markers of hidden military assets. The Velari think they are fighting the humans they met 3,000 years ago. They are not. They are fighting the humans we have become. And they have no idea what that means. A representative from the Asian Confederation raised her hand. "Counselor, the Velari have 8,000 ships. Even with our hidden assets, do we have enough to defeat them?" Jinyuk smiled. "That is the wrong question. The right question is, do they have enough to defeat us? The answer is no. They do not even have enough to slow us down. He brought up battle projections created by Earth's military AI systems. They showed Velari fleets being destroyed in encounter after encounter. The simulations predicted total human victory within 6 months. We are not going to just defend ourselves, Chinook announced. We are going to end this war quickly and completely. The Velari will never threaten us again. The assembly erupted in applause. Far away in Velari space, High Arbiter Thurl was receiving very different reports. His invasion fleet had assembled 8,000 warships, the largest force the Velari had ever gathered. They were already moving toward human territory. Our scouts report that human border systems have minimal defenses, reported War Master Krethsal. As expected, they have spread their small fleet too thin. We will crush them system by system. Excellent, Thurl said. And what of Earth itself? Undefended, except for a small garrison. Once we destroy their fleet, we will take their homeworld without a fight. The humans will surrender, and we will make them serve us as they should have from the beginning. Thurl leaned back in his throne, satisfied. Everything was going according to plan. The humans had sent no messages asking for peace. They had made no attempts to negotiate. He took this as a sign of their shock and despair. He did not consider another possibility that the humans were not afraid because they had nothing to fear. Begin the invasion, Thurl commanded. Show no mercy. Let the galaxy see what happens to those who disrespect the Velari dominion. His fleet jumped toward human space, confident in their victory. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The Cairo system was a quiet place on the edge of human space. It had 3 planets, 1 gas giant, 1 frozen rock, and 1 small world called Kairos 4, where a few thousand colonists mined rare metals. It was not an important system. It was not well defended. And that was exactly why the Velari chose it as their first target. War Master Krethsal commanded the first armada from his flagship, the Eternal Dominion. He was one of the oldest Velari alive, with dark gray skin that was almost black and eyes that had seen 100 battles. He had never lost a war. He did not expect to lose this one. Report, he ordered as his fleet dropped out of jump space. Sensors show 150 human vessels in defensive formation around. Kairos 4, his tactical officer replied. No planetary shields detected. No orbital platforms. This will be easy, War Master. Krethsal studied the display. The human ships were small compared to his battleships. They were arranged in a simple sphere around the planet, not even trying to use the asteroid field for cover. It was the formation of an enemy that had already given up. Open a channel to the human commander, Krethsal ordered. A moment later, a human face appeared on his screen. It was a young man with a calm expression that Krethsal found annoying. I am Commander Shin Tai-Wu of the United Earth Defense Fleet, the human said. You are entering human territory with hostile intent. Turn back now. Krethsal laughed. Turn back? Little human, I have 1,200 warships. You have 150. You cannot even slow me down. I am aware of the numbers, Tai-Wu replied. I am asking you one more time. Turn back, and if I refuse? The human smiled. It was a strange smile, like he knew a secret that Krethsal did not. Then you will learn why numbers do not matter. Krethsal ended the communication with a wave of his hand. Arrogant child. All ships advance to weapons range. Destroy them all. The Velari Armada moved forward in a massive wave of metal and firepower. 1,200 ships against 150. It should have been over in minutes. Commander Shin Tai-Wu watched them come from the bridge of the Soul's Vengeance. His crew was tense but ready. They had trained for this moment their entire lives. Sir, his sensor officer reported, the enemy will be in weapons range in 3 minutes. Hold position, Tai-Wu ordered. All ships maintain formation. Sir, should we not retreat? We cannot win this fight. Tai-Wu turned to look at his officer. Who said we cannot win? I only said we should hold position. He turned back to the main screen. When they reach the red line, give the signal. The Velari armada crossed into weapons range. Energy began to build in their forward cannons. Now, Taiwu said quietly. His communications officer sent a single coded pulse. It traveled at light speed to receivers hidden throughout the Kairos system in asteroids, in small moons, in debris fields that everyone had ignored. And then the trap was revealed. Across the system, hidden platforms activated. Asteroids split open to show massive cannons. Moons lowered their camouflage shields to reveal defense installations. Empty space suddenly filled with automated weapon systems, thousands of them, all targeting the Velari fleet. Krethsal stared at his tactical display in shock. The empty system was now filled with red threat markers. His ships were surrounded on all sides. What is this? He demanded. War Master, we are detecting over 2,000 weapons platforms. They were hidden from our sensors? That is impossible. Our sensors are the best in the galaxy. The humans have better sensors, his tactical officer said, his voice hollow. They have better everything. The first shots came from the hidden platforms. Beams of energy that move faster than Velari shields could adapt. Missiles that phased through their armor like it was made of paper. Ships that had survived 100 battles exploded in seconds. Return fire. Krethsal screamed. Target those platforms. His ships fired back, but their weapons seemed weak compared to the human technology. Platforms that should have been destroyed merely flickered and kept shooting. Then the human ships attacked. Commander Taiwu led the charge personally. The Soul's Vengeance dove into the Velari formation, its weapons firing in all directions. Human ships moved with impossible speed and coordination, always seeming to know where the Velari would be before they got there. They're targeting computers, Krethsal realized. They are predicting our movements. How is that possible? I do not know. Krethsal gripped his command chair as another explosion rocked his ship. But we cannot stay here. All ships retreat. Jump to secondary coordinates. The Velari fleet tried to run, but their jump drives needed time to charge, and the humans did not give them time. Ship after ship was destroyed before it could escape on Kairos 4. The ground battle was equally one-sided. Sergeant No Hyun led her squad through the frozen valleys of the mining colony. The Velari had landed troops before the space battle turned against them, hoping to at least take the planet. But they had not expected what they found. Contact ahead, reported one of her soldiers. 20 Velari, taking cover in that crater. Hyun checked her display. The temperature outside was -80 degrees. The air had almost no oxygen. Radiation from the nearby gas giant was 3 times the safe level for humans. The Velari were struggling just to survive in these conditions. Her people were not struggling at all. Move in, she ordered. Her squad advanced through conditions that would have killed unprotected humans in minutes, but they were not unprotected. Their armor was designed for exactly this environment. They had trained on worlds worse than this. The Velari saw them coming and opened fire. Their shots went wide, their targeting systems were confused by the radiation, and their soldiers were shaking from the cold. Hyun's squad did not miss. In less than 5 minutes, it was over. 20 Velari soldiers lay dead in the crater. Hyun's squad had not taken a single casualty. Base, this is Squad 7, she reported. Sector 12 is clear. Copy Squad 7, all sectors are reporting success. The ground invasion has been stopped. Hyun looked up at the sky, where she could see flashes of light from the space battle. It looked like it was ending 2.4 hours after it began. The Battle of Kairos was over. Of the 1,200 Velari ships that had entered the system, only 200 escaped. The rest were destroyed or captured. Thousands of Velari soldiers were dead. Their first armada, the pride of their military, had been broken in a single afternoon. Commander Shin Tae-woo watched the survivors flee and felt no joy. He had done his duty. He had protected his people. But he knew that this was only the beginning. Send a message to Earth Command, he ordered. The Kairos system is secure. Enemy losses are over 80%. Awaiting further orders. Far away on the Valari flagship Eternal Dominion, War Master Krethsal sat alone in his damaged command center. Half his officers were dead. His ship was barely holding together. And his fleet, his beautiful, powerful fleet, was gone. He opened a channel to the Valari homeworld. When High Arbiter Thurl appeared on the screen, Krethsal could not hide his despair. What happened? Thurl demanded. Where is the first armada? Destroyed, Krethsal said. The humans. They were ready for us. They had weapons we have never seen. Technology we cannot understand. They knew exactly what we would do before we did it. Thurl's 4 eyes went wide. That is impossible. The humans are children. They cannot have. They are not children, Krethsal interrupted. His voice was empty. They were never children. We were fools to think so. High Arbiter, I must tell you the truth. What truth? Krethsal looked directly at his leader. We have made a terrible mistake. The humans are not what we thought they were. And I fear that this war will be the end of us. Thurl ended the communication without another word, but deep in his heart, he was beginning to feel something he had never felt before: fear. The news of the disaster at Kairos spread through the Valari Dominion like a disease. At first, no one believed it. How could 1,200 ships lose to 150? How could the greatest military force in the galaxy be defeated by young, foolish humans? But then the survivors returned. They told their stories of impossible weapons and unstoppable enemies. They described how the humans had hidden their true strength for thousands of years. They spoke of the cold confidence in the human commander's voice when he warned them to turn back. Panic began to spread. High Arbiter Thurl tried to control the information. He told his people that Kairos was a minor setback. He promised that the remaining fleets would crush humanity easily. He executed several officers for spreading fear, but he could not hide the truth forever. Because the humans were not waiting for the Valari to attack again, the humans were coming for them. Admiral Sowan stood on the bridge of the Morning Star, leading a fleet of 800 human warships into Valari territory. It was the largest offensive operation in human history, and he was proud to command it. Admiral, we are approaching the Threll system, reported his navigation officer. This is the first major Valari colony outside their homeworld. Population of 2 billion. Weapons status? All ships report ready. Sungwon studied the display. The Threll system was defended by 500 Valari ships, a smaller force than had attacked Kairos, but still significant. They were arranged in a defensive formation around the main planet, protecting their civilians. Open a channel to the enemy commander, Sungwon ordered. A Valari face appeared on the screen. She looked older than most Valari Sungwon had seen, with pale gray skin and worried eyes. I am Fleet Commander Vishara, she said. You are invading Valari space. Turn back or face destruction. Sungwon almost laughed. The words were bold, but her voice was shaking. She had heard what happened at Kairos. She knew what was coming. Fleet Commander, Sungwon replied calmly, I am giving you one chance to surrender. Power down your weapons and withdraw from this system. Your civilian population will not be harmed. But if you fight, you will be destroyed. Vishara's eyes flickered. For a moment, Sungwon thought she might actually surrender. But then her expression hardened. The Valari do not surrender to lesser species, she said. You will learn respect for your elders today. She ended the transmission. Sungwon sighed. They never learn. All ships, attack pattern Delta, disable their vessels. I want prisoners. The battle lasted 2 hours. It would have been shorter, but Sungwon had ordered his ships to use minimal force. He was not here to kill every Valari in the system. He was here to prove a point. When it was over, 400 Valari ships were disabled and drifting in space. The other 100 had been destroyed when they refused to surrender. Fleet Commander Vishara was captured alive. Secure the prisoners and begin rescue operations for Valari survivors, Sungwon ordered. And send a message to the planet below. Tell them that humanity is not their enemy. We will not harm civilians. But any military that fights us will be destroyed. Within a day, the Thrall system was under human control. The news hit the Valari homeworld like a bomb. It had taken humanity less than a week to go from defending their borders to invading Valari space. The first armada was gone. Now a major colony had fallen. How long before the humans reached the homeworld itself? On the Valari High Council, the leaders were fighting among themselves. "We must surrender," demanded one counselor. "The humans have shown they are merciful to those who do not fight. If we stop now, we may survive. Surrender?" Thurl shouted back. "The Valari have never surrendered in our million-year history. We would rather die than show weakness to these insects." "Then we will die. Can you not see what is happening? The humans are stronger than us. They are faster than us. They are smarter than us. We cannot win this war. We have 6,000 ships remaining," Thurl said. "The humans cannot have more than 2,000. If we gather all our forces for one massive attack on Earth itself, we can still destroy them." The council fell silent. It was a desperate plan. It would leave the Valari homeworld undefended. But Thurl was right about one thing: if they did not destroy humanity's heart, they would surely lose the war. "Very well," said the eldest counselor. "We will send everything we have. May the gods protect us." While the Valari prepared their final attack, Agent Kangbora was watching from the shadows. She was a human spy who had lived among the Valari for 15 years. She had changed her appearance, learned their language, and built a network of informants in their government. She was one of hundreds of agents that Earth had planted throughout the galaxy, gathering information and waiting for the day when it would be needed. That day had come from her hidden communication device. She sent an encrypted message to Earth Command. "All Valari fleets are being recalled. They are planning a full assault on Earth. Estimated force is 6,000 ships. Attack will launch in 72 hours. On Earth, the message was received by Counselor Yu Jinyuk in the middle of the night. He read it twice to make sure he understood, then he smiled. "Get me Admiral Park," he ordered, "and wake up the entire War Council. The Valari are finally doing something intelligent." An hour later, the War Council was assembled in the deep underground bunker beneath the Himalayas. Admiral Park Do-yun, General Choi Manji, Dr. Beek Sun-ho, and a dozen other military leaders sat around a circular table, studying the intelligence that Agent Kang had provided. "They are sending everything," Admiral Park said. "Every ship, every soldier, every weapon they have left. One final attempt to win the war." "It is a logical choice," said General Choi. "Desperate, but logical. If they destroy Earth, they destroy our government, our production facilities, and our will to fight. They think we will surrender without our homeworld." "They think wrong," Park replied. "Earth is not undefended, and even if they somehow managed to destroy it, they would only make us angry." He looked around the table. "Recommendations?" Dr. Beek pushed his glasses up his nose. "Let them come. We have been preparing Earth's defenses for 3,000 years. The sleepers are active. The shield generators are online. The orbital platforms are ready, and we can recall Admiral O's fleet using the fold space drives. He can be here in hours. What about the enemy numbers? 6,000 ships is a lot, even for us." "Numbers do not matter," said General Choi. "We proved that at Kairos, one human ship equals 5 Valari ships at minimum. And we will be fighting on our home ground with full planetary support." She leaned forward. "Admiral, we should not just defend Earth, we should destroy their entire fleet. End the war in one battle." Admiral Park considered this. It was risky. If something went wrong, Earth could be damaged or even destroyed. But if it worked, contact Admiral O, he decided. Tell him to return immediately. And send word to all defense stations. The Valari are coming to Earth. His eyes hardened. Make sure they receive a proper welcome. 72 hours later, the Valari Armada jumped into the Sol system. 6,000 warships, carrying 2 million soldiers, armed with every weapon the Dominion possessed. High Arbiter Thurl stood on his command bridge, looking at Earth on the main screen. It was a small planet, mostly blue and green. It looked fragile. It looked easy to destroy. Scan for defenses, he ordered. Scanning ... His tactical officer paused, then paused again, then made a sound that Thurl had never heard a Velari make before, a whimper of pure terror. What is it? Thurl demanded. The tactical officer turned to face him. His 4 eyes were wide with fear. High Arbiter, we need to leave. Now? We need to leave right now. What are you talking about? Show me the scan. The tactical officer put the results on the main screen. Thurl looked at it for a long moment, then he understood why his officer was afraid. Earth was not. UNDEFENDED. Earth was a fortress, and they had just walked into the middle of it. The tactical display showed what the Velari were facing, and it was beyond anything they had imagined. Earth itself was covered in a shimmering energy shield that wrapped around the entire planet. Massive generators on every continent powered it, creating a barrier that could stop anything short of a supernova. The planet that had looked so fragile moments ago was now clearly untouchable. Around Earth, 1,500 human warships waited in perfect formation. But they were almost an afterthought compared to what else was there. The moon had been transformed. What looked like craters were actually weapons platforms, hundreds of them, each one capable of destroying a battleship with a single shot. The entire surface bristled with cannons and missile launchers. Mars was there too. Not the planet itself, but a fleet that had jumped in from Mars using fold space technology. Another 800 ships, appearing out of nowhere, surrounding the Velari Armada on all sides, and everywhere else in the asteroid belt. Around Jupiter's moons, hidden in empty space, were the sleepers. Thousands of automated weapons platforms, all active, all targeting the Velari fleet. High Arbiter Thurl stared at the display for a long moment. His dream of destroying Earth and winning the war died in that moment. He understood now that he had never had a chance. The humans had not been hiding their weakness. They had been hiding their strength. High Arbiter, his communications officer said. We are receiving a transmission from the human flagship. Put it through. Admiral Park Do-Yun appeared on the screen. He was standing on the bridge of the indomitable Earth's largest warship. Behind him, his crew worked calmly at their stations. There was no tension in his face, no worry. He looked like a man who had already won. High Arbiter Thurl, Park said. Welcome to Earth. I hope the journey was comfortable. Thurl felt his hands shaking with rage. You tricked us. All of this, the weak defenses, the small fleets, it was all a lie. Not a lie. A test. Park's expression did not change. We wanted to see if you would really do it. If you would really start a war with a species you knew nothing about. And you did. You saw our 2,000 ships and thought we were weak. You never asked what else we might have. We are the Velari Dominion. We have ruled this galaxy for 1,000,000 years. And in that 1,000,000 years, how much did you change? How much did you grow? Park shook his head. You became comfortable. You stopped improving. You thought that because you were old, you were strong. But age is not strength. Adaptation is strength. Growth is strength. And humanity has been growing since the day we first looked up at the stars. Thurl had no response to that. Because he knew it was true. You have 2 choices, Park continued. Surrender now and save your people, or fight and be destroyed. There is no third option. For a moment, Thurl considered surrender. He could see on his tactical display that his fleet was completely trapped. The humans could destroy them at any time. If he surrendered, at least some Velari would survive, but his pride would not let him. The Velari do not surrender, he said. All ships attack. Admiral Park sighed. He had hoped it would not come to this, but he had prepared for it. All stations, he ordered, engage the enemy. Disable their ships if possible. Destroy them if necessary. The Battle of Earth began. It was not really a battle. It was a demonstration of what humanity had become. The Velari fleet charged forward, firing everything they had. Their weapons hit the Earth's shields and did nothing. Their missiles were shot down before they could reach their targets. Their ships were torn apart by weapons they could not see or understand. Lieutenant Han Yunji flew the Thunderbolt into the heart of the enemy formation. Her ship was too fast to hit, too small to target. She disabled Valari command ships one after another, cutting off their communication and coordination. Without their commanders, the Valari fleet fell into chaos. Commander Shin Tae-woo led a squadron of destroyers through the enemy lines, creating holes for larger ships to exploit. His tactical computers predicted every Valari move before they made it. The enemy could not touch him. On the moon, General Choi Minji commanded the ground-based weapons platforms. She directed fire with cold precision, destroying any ship that tried to get close to Earth. She had waited her whole life for this moment. She was not going to miss a single shot, and above it all, Admiral Park watched from the Indomitable, giving orders that his fleet followed perfectly. The humans fought as one, ships, stations, and platforms working together in perfect coordination. The Valari had no such coordination. They had never needed it before. They had always won through numbers and brute force. But numbers meant nothing when every shot missed, and brute force meant nothing when your weapons could not hurt your enemy. In 6 hours. It was over. Of the 6,000 Valari ships that had entered the Sol system, none escaped. Most were destroyed. Some were disabled and captured. The Valari soldiers who had dreamed of conquering Earth found themselves prisoners instead. High Arbiter Thurl's flagship was captured intact. He was brought to the Indomitable under guard and taken to Admiral Park's ready room. He was still in shock. His mind could not accept what had happened. Park was waiting for him, sitting behind his desk. He gestured for Thurl to sit in the chair across from him. "Your fleet is destroyed," Park said simply. "Your armies are captured. Your homeworld is undefended. The war is over." Thurl looked at him with empty eyes. "How?" he asked. "How did you do this? How did you become so powerful?" "We learned," Park said. "From you, from others, from ourselves. Every species we met taught us something. Every challenge we faced made us stronger. We never stopped growing, never stopped improving. That is what humans do. But you hid it. For 3,000 years you hid your true strength. Why? Because we knew this day would come." Park leaned forward. "When we first met your people, we saw how you looked at us. Like we were insects. Like we were nothing. We knew that one day you would try to destroy us. So we prepared. And we waited." Thurl shook his head slowly. "We thought you were fools. We thought you spent your time on art and music and pointless human things. We did. We also built the most powerful military in galactic history." Park allowed himself a small smile. "Humans can do more than one thing at a time." There was a long silence. "What happens now?" Thurl finally asked. "The Valari Dominion is finished. Your military will be disbanded. Your territory will be reduced to your homeworld and nothing else. You will never threaten anyone again." Park stood up. "But your people will live. We are not going to destroy you. We are not like you." Thurl was taken away to a cell. He would eventually be tried for starting the war, along with other Valari leaders. Most would spend the rest of their lives in prison. The galaxy watched in awe as humanity defeated the Valari Dominion in less than a month. Species that had feared the Valari for millions of years could not believe what they were seeing. The young, foolish humans had done what no one else could do. They had broken the power of the oldest empire in the galaxy. Ambassador Lee Jisoo returned to the Galactic Council to accept humanity's new position. The Council offered Earth a seat as senior members, the youngest species ever to receive that honor. "We accept," Lee Jisoo said. "And we want to make one thing clear. Humanity does not want to conquer anyone. We do not want to rule the galaxy. We only want to live in peace. But if anyone threatens us or our friends again," she paused, "they will learn what the Valari learned. The hard way." No one doubted her. In the years that followed, humanity became the most respected species in the galaxy. Other civilizations sent their best scientists and artists to learn from humans. Trade with Earth made everyone richer. Human ideas spread everywhere: democracy, individual rights, the value of growth and change. The galaxy was not perfect. There were still problems, still conflicts, still challenges. But there was also hope. Because now everyone knew that even the youngest species could rise to greatness if they worked hard enough. Captain Kim Yuna, who had been with Ambassador Lee at the start of the war, was promoted to admiral. She was given command of a new project monitoring the galaxy for the next species that might make the same mistake as the Valari. Do you think it will happen again? Her aide asked. Yuna looked out at the stars. Someone will always underestimate humanity. It is what happens when you look young and act friendly. They think we are soft, and when they learn the truth. Yuna smiled. Then we laugh. On the Valari homeworld, a historian was recording the war for future generations. He had interviewed survivors, studied battle records, and analyzed everything that had gone wrong. His conclusion was simple but important. The humans laughed when we declared war, he wrote. We thought they were laughing because they were foolish, because they did not understand the danger. We were wrong. They laughed because they knew something we did not. They laughed because they had already won. We should have listened to what that laughter meant. He put down his pen and looked out the window. The sky was quiet now. The great fleets were gone. The Valari. Dominion was just a memory, but the lesson would never be forgotten. Never underestimate humanity. They might be young, they might be small, but they are always ready, and they are always laughing.